just start off with a couple of brief introductions. If it's your first meeting, I'm Inspector Hatton, Commanding Officer of the Precinct. This is Lieutenant John Coyle working today. Two of my officers in the back are Officer Claudio Delgado and Officer Jamie Westenhoff. So we're going to actually, you know what, a couple of introductions. Sometimes I forget at the end. I mean, a couple of announcements. I'll try to do it at the end again, but sometimes I forget. Next meeting is Tuesday, the first Tuesday in October, which is the 3rd. So that one will be 7 o'clock at the library, South Huntington Library. So October 3rd, Tuesday at the library, 7 o'clock at night. The next day, October 4th, at the Walton Mall between 11 and 1, we're going to have our second Coffee with a Cop that we do, where you're free to come down. We'll be at the center court of the Walton Mall between those hours. The mall is providing coffee, and I'll be there. I'm sure Officer Delgado, also Westenhoff will be there, and just to chat in a more of an informal, formal type setting. So,
you said 10 to 1 for that?
11 to 1. June.
11 to 1. Thanks.
We'll put something out too if you follow us. It'll be 11 to 1 on October 4th. All right, so before we get started, I would like to introduce Sergeant Kathy Keneally. She's from our Community Response Bureau in Yaphank. She's going to be presenting a proclamation to a couple of members of our community who consistently come through. They donate bicycles on behalf of little kids at many of our events, kids that aren't able to afford them. So, Sergeant Keneally.
Good morning, everybody. Like the inspector said, I'm Sergeant Keneally. I work in community relations. We cover the entire county. And every now and then you have a few community members who really stand out and help those who are less fortunate. And we have two members here who have an organization called Bikes for Kids in America, and they have throughout the years donated many items, many bicycles, and brought joy to many children, which I got to experience myself. We had a kickball game, a community relations versus the camp counselors at one of the local camps here. And at the end of it, Enrico, had 4 bicycles to give away to these young kids. And, to see, I guess, some of the disappointment on a few of them, like I wasn't the one that won, and then just to, he just increased it and wound up giving away nine bicycles at the event, which was, very benevolent and very nice. It wasn't anything that anybody expected, and it really made the day for several of those kids. And this is something that they've been doing throughout the years. This organization really does make some changes for people that aren't able to afford for themselves. So on behalf of Commissioner Sini and the department, we'd like to give this proclamation to both Enrico DeLuca and Craig Corey for their benevolence and the special things that they've been doing for the community. One of the other things that that I'd like to bring out is, Officer Delgado. There was one child at the camp who is a little less fortunate, and she had offered to give this child a back to school shopping spree, and both these gentlemen matched her funds to bring something special to this child who really was lacking, and it was something that nobody expected, and it just was out of the goodness of their heart. So we want to thank them for that as well. So I'm going to just read one. I won't read both of them because they pretty much say the same thing. It's whereas the Office of the Suffolk County Police Commissioner is proud to recognize Craig Corey and Enrico DeLuca, Bikes for Kids in America, who have served the county with distinction and whose tireless efforts have enhanced the lives of countless children throughout Suffolk County. Whereas Craig Corey and Enrico DeLuca, through numerous community fundraisers, have made kids smile one bike at a time. So if you can just come up, gentlemen.
Could we get a photograph here? Oh, yeah.
Sure.
sorry.
Get you guys in the middle.
And open proclamations.
I know.
Jamie should be in here too.
I think everybody knows how crazy I am. Oh, wait, Claudia wasn't in it. There we go. Very nice. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Yeah, I can do this one.
No, I think.
All right.
We have one more proclamation. We have another member of our community who has worked tirelessly, and this is countywide. Maureen, who every month provides coffee and I will say it's not only for your community meeting that 7-Eleven comes through and that Maureen provides many different things. She is at National Night Out. She is at our Cops for Who Care turkey giveaways. Almost any event that we have, Maureen has come through. We have Operation Chill, where we've given away 20,000 Slurpee coupons throughout the county to kids just to make them smile. It makes our lives easier during Police Week when we have 3,500 students come in, and we really get the crowd going when we're giving out those Slurpee coupons. And anytime we need something, Maureen comes through. So we just really want to say thank you to Maureen and to 7-Eleven for all the assistance that they've given us for our community engagement efforts. Because really without that interaction, it really has between the police and the community and the support that they give us, it really makes our lives a little bit easier. All right, so the Office of the Suffolk County Police Commissioner is proud to recognize Maureen. I'm gonna bastardize it. I'm gonna apologize ahead of time. Abdel Noor, 7-Eleven Community Relations Consultant, in recognition of her outstanding contribution and valuable public service to the County of Suffolk. Whereas Maureen has supported numerous police department community events, including turkey drives, spring cleanups, and National Night Out. Her tireless efforts and generous support have enhanced these events and helped bring joy to residents. So thank you to Maureen.
Thank you so much. Let me say, it's not me. It's that brand, that logo, who is serving you 24 hours a day, that allows me the ability to give back here to the 1st Precinct specifically, Inspector, and to the
Second.
She does the 1st precinct.
She does the 1st precinct too.
That's why she was late.
But on behalf of the franchisees, where I was making coffee down in Melville on my way off the northern state to bring here, and Kawajita saying go, 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 and her staff's helping me out with the coffee here. It's those men and women who are the franchisees of 7-Eleven who serve you, and I'm fortunate enough to help serve them, serve you in additional community ways. It's our pleasure, and I thank you.
Yay, Maureen! Jamie, pictures. You guys, no, you guys, pictures.
Yeah, quick picture.
Pictures.
She's in the front row.
Oh, you just got a text from me, Jamie. Yay! Beautiful. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I was sending you the other pictures.
In addition to the precincts, I have a family member, not one of my kids, one of my cousin's kids suffers from juvenile diabetes, and they run a walkathon every year. And I didn't know Maureen until I started working here, and And the walkathon is every year in either October or November. I always go. And there she is working in the 7-Eleven coffee tent, not working, volunteering. The 7-Eleven coffee tent at the walkathon. So we appreciate her efforts, basically all around. Anything that 7-Eleven's involved in, Maureen's involved in. So, all right, I'd like to get started with the meeting here. If we have any new people here, usually I'll talk about a few significant events in the precinct that happened since our last meeting, which was beginning of August, and then we'll open it up to anybody in the audience who has any questions and wants to speak about anything in their neighborhood. You know, if you prefer to see one of the officers at the end of the meeting and talk about it there, that's fine with us. If you don't want to talk about anything in front of the whole group. So I would like to start saying that by saying the month of August was, as far as violent crime goes, we had down significantly from last August. August is, with the nice weather traditionally, a lot of people on the street hanging out, and sometimes we end up with some violence. Last year, the month of August, we had 3 homicides in this precinct. This year, we only had 1 this year so far. It happened down at Dix Hills, I think, in April. But last year, we had the unfortunate 18-year-old male by the name of Esteban Gomez. On August 20th, he was found in the park in Greenlawn. And on August 22nd, we had Antoine Butts Miller, another 18-year-old, who was a victim of a shooting on 5th Avenue in Huntington Station. Both of those cases, unfortunately, unsolved at this point. The third homicide I mentioned was actually up in Lloyd Harbor. You may remember it was between a mother and her son. I believe he drowned her in a pool in Lloyd Harbor. He was arrested. But as of this year, very somewhat, let me just say somewhat violent for August. And I know being in this job for so long, we could walk out here tonight and we could have something bad happen tonight, but go day to day. So I would say we had a successful August. So I'll start by going back since our last meeting and talking about, you know what, let me just mention now, the uptick I did have in crime in the month of August was in general larcenies. Mainly fueled by, we've had an increase in shoplifting from stores. I can't do so much about that. Believe me, if stores call us, if they have security, take somebody in custody for shoplifting, we come down and we certainly take the arrest. But we have an increase in like larcenies from vehicles. You folks wouldn't imagine the number of people who leave their cars unlocked in front of their house with their pocketbooks in it, with their whole life in their car. So it just doesn't take you know, somebody to walk through your neighborhood at 2 o'clock in the morning and just check car doors. Take your pocketbook out. We did make an arrest last week. Let me start back. We had a stolen car in Centerport. You know, people actually leave. I don't know how it happens, but they actually leave. You know, you have a key fob now on a new car. They actually leave it in their car, and somebody. All you have to do is sit in the seat in that car, push a button, and the car starts. And they drive away with your car and the pocketbook sitting next to you. So anyway, up in Centerport, we had a gentleman from Huntington Station, from South Huntington, was up in Centerport going through cars in the middle of the night. And he happens to steal a brand new 2017 Jeep. We arrested him sometime last week in that car. We think he was involved in many larcenies from vehicles throughout the precinct. Although he wouldn't go for any. We didn't really have any evidence against him. We interviewed him. He didn't go for any. But we were able to put him in jail for that stolen car for now. And we have seen somewhat of a downturn in the larcenies since that time. So that's the good news on that. All right, so moving on, a lot of these are newsworthy events that you might have heard of. I'll be happy to take any other questions on. August 5th, which was a Saturday morning, Old Country Road and Ponderosa Drive in Melville. We had a short pursuit that started on New York Avenue. One of my officers observed a 2001 Ford Explorer driving erratically on New York Avenue, Huntington Station. Pursuit ensued. Thought the operator was DWI. They ended up going through the neighborhood on the east side of Walton Mall, those streets in there, Iceland Drive, that type of street. And the officer lost him, discontinued the pursuit. Another officer picked him up on the other side of Walton Road there, on Old Country Road. Pursued for a couple of seconds, and the car, if you're familiar with that Old Country Road there, tree-lined, very curvy. They lost it into the woods. There were 3 juveniles in the car, 14-year-olds, and the driver was 18. So He went to the hospital. The other 3 juveniles were slightly injured. They all went to the hospital, but they were all released. He spent a few days in the hospital. He was charged with DWI under Leandra's law because of the age of the kids, and it was a stolen car at a Bay Show. So, East Northport on August 16th, about 11:15 in the morning, we had a robbery at the Subway on Laurel Road. White male comes in, he's pretty much all covered up except for his eyes, jeans, long sleeve shirt, bandana wrapped around his face, demands money, and he reaches over into the cash register and takes the money. This was a little, you know, they were actually patrons in the store, and I mean, I know the kid working the register there was less than 20 years old. He didn't call the police, he just got robbed. Somebody came in and took his money, threatened him. They threatened the use of a knife, no weapon was seen. He doesn't even call the police. It was actually a customer who was eating a sandwich. She goes home and calls the police from her house. So, the kid said he was waiting for his manager. Not his fault, but you know, get the word out to your family, people. Just when something bad happens, call the police. So that case is under investigation right now. All right, August 25th, we had a robbery, another one where male threatened a knife. This was at the threatened store owner with a knife. It was at about 10:30 at night on the 25th at the BP station on Jericho Turnpike and Huntington Station. Threatens the use of a knife, and they gave him $200 cash from the register, and he fled. So I had a couple of my plainclothes officers went down there, and they had pretty good video of it. Lo and behold, they recognized the guy. They go to his house on Iceland Drive. We had just arrested this guy 2 weeks later, after 2 weeks earlier, from doing a search warrant at his house at 103 Iceland Drive. His name was William Slater, 30 years old. He was arrested in a search warrant in the beginning of August, and then he did this robbery on the 25th.
Is he being held now, or was he released again?
I don't know. I assume for a robbery he's being held more significant bail. So the Colony Bar in Huntington Station, 338 Depot Road. That place is that's going to be starting to be our new project here as far as bars go. On August 17th, we had a serious assault in front of the place. It was 2 people who had been drinking together all night there. This is about 4:30 in the morning. The bar was closed. Happened on the sidewalk. Don't tell me how these people met there, but it's a 49-year-old female from Georgia and a 43-year-old woman from Massachusetts. Ended up going at it in front of the Colony Bar on Depot Road. The woman from Georgia struck the other woman in the head with a bottle. She was arrested. For those of you who don't know, we had closed the Colony a couple of months ago for serving underage. We actually did another SLA check there this past Friday night as a result of that, and we sent an underage in there to see if they would serve alcohol. They did not, but we issued a couple of tickets, one for something unsanitary behind the bar and one for a fire code violation. But so that's our new project. Sometimes these bars attract an element that kind of ruins the community somewhat, and so we're going to keep an eye on the Colony going forward.
Thank you.
I was going to say thank you.
Yeah, June knows all well. I'll just so also Friday night, I'll get right into this. We, in addition to doing an SLA, that stands for State Liquor Authority. We did an SLA investigation at the Colony. Prior to that, we had several businesses on in and around Huntington Station. What we do is we get an underage kid. It could be an officer's child who wants to volunteer, or one of our police explorers. We get them to go in and attempt to buy beer as long as they're under 21. And if the establishment serves them, we go in and issue an appearance ticket to the person who served them alcohol. So we went into Capital Beer on New York Avenue, Dream Mart Wine and Liquor on Seaman Road, Compuerbe Deli on New York Avenue, La Familia Deli on New York Avenue, Citgo Gas on New York Avenue, P&P Deli on West Hill Road, Super Compadre on West Hill Road, and One Stop Deli on West Pulaski Road. And this is actually a good thing. Not one place served the underage. So.
Yay!
So the cops who did this didn't get any stats that night, but in the end, it's a good thing. And then they did this earlier on, and then just after midnight is when, after doing these, I don't know, 7 or 8 establishments, They went to the Colony Bar with that underage, and once again, he was not served there either. So that's a good thing. And last I have to talk about on significant events, this is just yesterday afternoon, about 6 o'clock, we had a serious accident up in Centerport. News 12 was in the parking lot here this morning when we led the defendant out to court. A gentleman by the name of Scott Lipton, 43 years old. He actually lives at Laurel Hill Road. Right in front of his house, he has a 9-year-old stepson in his vehicle with him, which was a 2017 Jaguar. He was driving it on his block. Says he was revving it. He had another stepson out in front of the house. He crashes into that stepson, seriously breaks his leg, and then they crash into a tree. So he was arrested for DWI, once again under Leandra's law because he had a juvenile with him. Pretty serious charge, and he was off to jail this morning. And the kid had a serious break in his femur at the age of 13 years old. Not good. I'll talk about a few search warrants we did in the area. I touched on one before on Iceland. This was going back to the beginning of the month. August 3rd, we did a search warrant at 55 Cedar Drive in Huntington. Arrested a 39-year-old male by the name of James Erickson for possession of cocaine at his residence. Approximately 11 grams of cocaine recovered. Folks, these are all based on community complaints. We go out, we get complaints, and we could develop evidence. We go get a search warrant for these houses. Let's see. 20 Roosevelt, this was on August 16th, 20 Roosevelt Avenue, East Northport. We arrested 32-year-old Arnie Jacobson and Rachel Friedman, who's 25 years old. They were both charged with possession of cocaine at that location. And a significant amount of cash was recovered. And as I said before, on August 17th, 103 Iceland Drive, this is the gentleman who's already also arrested for a robbery several days after this. Did a search warrant at his house. 30-year-old William Slater was arrested, and 59-year-old Peter Collegy, residents of that house on 103 Iceland. They were both charged with possession of a controlled substance and possession of a hypodermic needle.
And there were animals removed from the property too, right?
Yes.
Can you tell us about the animals?
It's not my report, but several animals. I believe they had a significant amount of cats, and the place, we called the town down because it was very unsanitary, and I believe they were temporarily removed from the house, the people, until they got it cleaned up, which they did. You guys familiar with that one?
Yeah, I don't know if they were removed or after.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to speak out. Anyway, that's Joe Rose. He's from town of Huntington.
Were the animals returned to the house?
As far as the cats, the town of Huntington doesn't get involved with the cats. The dogs were not an issue.
What does that mean?
The cats would go to somebody else. We don't have any information regarding the cats.
But the dogs were returned to the
I
owner?
don't think the dogs were ever taken to the license and have rabies shots.
Oh, okay,
I believe.
okay.
Oh yeah, I have 12 cats and 2 dogs were involved. I do have this in the report. So, all right, that's anything I had to cover. If anybody has anything they'd like to bring to our attention. June?
The baseball bat kind of attacks. There was one that happened on Bogart earlier in the summer, outside of, I don't know if it was a party or not, that assaulted, and then I was told by a resident that there was one that happened just like a week ago, that was up by the library, like on New York Avenue by the station library. Does this ring a bell at all?
That one does. The one on Bogart does, yeah. That was we handled that as a misdemeanor assault, which is, I kind of talk about the felonies and stuff.
Yeah.
That was
Did you get those kids though?
No arrest made, no. So, and I'm not familiar with the one on New York Avenue, if there was one there.
Okay, it would have been over the weekend, not this weekend, the weekend
Okay.
before, Sunday night?
Off the top of my
We'll
head.
talk later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, no arrest made.
Did they think the Bogart thing was gang related at all?
No, there's no evidence in that at all. Yeah.
Okay. And there have been a lot of, sorry guys, police department and Homeland Security removals in Suffolk County that we've heard a lot about in Newsday for gang stuff, you
Yes.
know, taking out the MS-13 and other gang members. Can you speak to how that's impacted the 2nd Precinct?
Well, we've had a significant drop in crime that we can attribute to specifically MS-13, which is probably why my assaults were probably down in August compared to
Okay.
last year.
Why is that though? I mean.
So what's going on is, we provide information on confirmed gang members. We have a whole process where we confirm gang members here. And part of it is, you might have seen in Newsday, a guy with a tattoo, his picture, it says MS-13. Well, guess what? He's a confirmed gang member. So it's not like super secret information. So we would provide information on people that we have confirmed as gang members, and then Homeland Security takes it upon themselves to whatever procedure they go through with the federal courts, and they would work towards deporting confirmed gang members. Assuming we don't have, these are like people that we don't have criminal charges on. We just know that we've confirmed them into gang members somewhere along the line through some kind of contacts with them, and we provide that information to the feds, and they would look to deport those people. So that's the extent of our involvement.
How many have been removed from Second Precinct since they started doing that a couple months ago?
You know, just from that end, I don't really have an answer. Some have been removed. You know, some we arrest for crimes, and they go to jail, and we find out later. That's probably the vast majority of them are deported that way.
Okay.
They're under arrest for something. Homeland Security is notified, and then they go through their procedures with the jail.
And then are there any here, because there were other articles about some kids claiming that they were falsely scooped up, they weren't gang members, shipped off, detained.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, have we had any complaints of that related to
I haven't had
Second?
any here yet.
Okay. Okay, good.
I have a question. Yes. How does a kid join the Police Explorer? Is there a place or a time that they can go to?
Jamie, come on here so people can see it.
Explorer in Suffolk. And we're going to be accepting new kids in January.
The question was, we have our Police Explorer program, which is ages 14 to
14 to 21.
14 to 21.
They meet here at the precinct every other week on a day of the week for the January meeting. It's going to be January 4th at 7 p.m. So any new members that want to join should come to the Second Precinct at 7. And we'll give them all the forms and everything they need.
It's a good program, folks. You know, the explorers, they meet. It gives them a sense of, gives kids a sense of belonging to a group. They actually meet right here, right?
Yep.
They meet down here. They assist us. You know, we give them jobs to do, and we have big parades, St. Patrick's Day parade. You'll see them right at the turn at New York Avenue, Main Street every year. You'll see them, probably see them this weekend at the Awareness Day parade, right? Which is Saturday. So anyway, they do a lot of good things, and they get exposed. They get exposed to things going on behind the scenes in police work. A lot of kids, not a lot, some of them go on to law enforcement careers and some don't. That's not really the whole procedure. The whole purpose of it is just to give kids something to do. And so it's a good program.
That's very good.
Sorry?
I'm not a rah-rah guy, but I'll throw you a bone in this. The Santa Rosa Bar on West Hills Road, part of that.
Yes.
I'll give you guys a compliment. Some of the peripheral behavior that goes along with such establishments and individuals has significantly declined in that area.
Okay, thank you.
Yay!
Yeah. That all stems from about a month ago, folks. We did an SLA inspection at Santa Rosa, found gambling equipment in there. I probably spoke at this at the last community meeting in August, which, by the way, is very lightly attended.
You know, I don't know what happened, but for some reason I missed that meeting.
There was like 15 people there. But anyway, it was August.
Rescheduled or something? I don't remember. Strange.
So we spoke about it. It was the Santa Rosa was closed down, and one other bar. The name just escapes me. Do you remember which other one was? Safiro, El Triunfo, another bar in that area was also closed down. And the Santa Rosa is still closed, right, sir? Yeah. There's a lot of gang activity in the place. There was gambling. So you might remember last year, I think in May, we had a person was beat down not far from there, about 4 o'clock in the morning. Another homicide. It was last May there. We didn't really attribute it to the bar. It happened down the street, but we think that everybody was hanging out in the Santa Rosa prior to that time. So.
Problem. But it's a conglomeration of things, in my personal opinion, that he's talked about. Do I understand your short staff? Do I understand the budgetary constraints? Yes. Do I understand stop sign tickets? are not glamorous, and they don't necessarily translate directly to statistics. Yeah, but it's becoming an issue, and I'm starting to see it where I'm actually having to go back to the old means to get in the middle of the street and tell somebody there are the ways, so they don't run into some kid that's on a bicycle.
Well, you know, stop sign tickets are important. You know, it's a moving violation, and we, you know, as you all know, there's a lot of stop signs in neighborhoods where I don't condone it, but there are stop signs in neighborhoods where there are no accidents. We tend to focus our enforcement activities on high accident locations, and you might have a stop sign in your neighborhood that people might roll through all the time, but there hasn't been an accident there in 5 years. And then, so the next question is, well, what are we waiting for an accident to happen? I know, but we have confirmed high accident locations throughout this precinct that we focus a lot of our attention on. But when we do get complaints from residents in you know, a stop sign deep in a residential neighborhood somewhere, yes, we will do some enforcement. Okay, these guys up here were.
Yes, I want you to know about the cocaine. Those that were arrested, were they drug dealers?
Those search warrants I talked about?
Well, you said that there were a few people that were arrested, a man and a woman. They had some cocaine and they had the works with them.
Yes, those 3 search warrants, they were dealing with.
They were.
And again, you have this issue, it's a low accident
Yeah.
area. Well, no one's gotten hurt so far.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's one of these things, you don't see a stop sign go up or a traffic light go up unless there's been an incident.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to address that now, and that's not necessarily true. I mean, I grew up in the town of Islip, I grew up in Brentwood, and I was a street kid. I was all over the neighborhood in those days, and I knew every traffic light and stop sign. And prior to coming here, I worked in the 3rd precinct, and within a half-mile radius of my house, there are 30, 40 stop signs and traffic lights that weren't there when I grew up. And there's still the same 318 as a sector car covering the neighborhood. So there's not like, you know, 4 more cops covering the neighborhood. It's the same cop with 50 more stop signs. So that's why we end up focusing on the high accident locations. But sir, I mean, I do remember you here the last time. I'll make sure somebody gets down there, takes a look at your stop sign.
That would be nice. Yeah, thank you. And be covert.
And
Dick, I'll get to you
Before
next.
that, I remember I moved into my neighborhood 21 years ago. And at that time, there was already a stop sign at this intersection. And everyone, it got there because everyone on the block signed a petition that one mother had because it used to be a bus stop for the kids. So 21 years, those kids are long gone. Another issue is that the same amount of time there's been a deaf child sign on...
And there's no more deaf child.
Not a child anymore. And unless they're still there and their problem is hereditary.
Yeah.
And the other thing getting to do with stop signs is visibility. Where that stop sign is, I'd like to say we don't need it anymore, except that there's no visibility and people coming around the curve where we have trees growing in the right-of-way, you don't see the stop sign.
Yeah.
So there's so many issues to do with visibility and not seeing stop signs and people planting trees in the right-of-way, which is that 4-foot. People don't know that. And like in it's a small street, but people have planted things right along the right-of-way. The right-of-way is made where you would put a sidewalk if you wanted one. And that should be a place where people can walk. And yet people put all kinds of things in the way that you couldn't walk along there if you want. So between the visibility issues, the lack of sidewalks, the lack of a right-of-way you can walk on, anything could be a problem. But, you know, I'd like to look at, number one, stop signs you may not need anymore. Because if it was there because people signed it not to want to not sign it, and it was a bus stop, it's not anymore.
What street are you on? Because the town's here, maybe they could take it back and
I'll talk to
give it to the right people. You talk to Joe after?
I'll talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dick?
Yeah, just a question, the thing that we put up on Broadway, remember? About a month or so ago, that special light?
Oh, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Has that improved that area at all? Have you gotten anything out of it?
We haven't gotten any arrests specifically because of that, though. No, so.
The camera.
What we're talking about is an overt camera we have. And, Dick, I'll tell you, we recently moved it last Friday. We temporarily
Wait,
moved it.
7-Eleven?
No, up to, well, it's an overt camera, folks, so I can tell you where we are. It says Suffolk County Police on it. We moved it up to Hillcrest. Doc Spencer came to me, they had a, drug problem in the area, serious drug problem, and a lot of the neighborhood came to him, so we put it up in that neighborhood. It's up in Huntington right now. So when we get done with it down there, we're probably going to put it back where it was. So, but that whole Green Lawn area has been very quiet. So.
Yes, good morning. Jim Lennox, East Northport. I've heard reported in the news that there's supposed to be federal funding coming to Suffolk County to enable Suffolk County Police Department and other policing agencies to crack down on gang violence and heroin use. Do you have any information on for us on resources that might be coming through the second precinct to be deployed in our area?
I don't have any specific regarding any kind of grant money. I don't have any information for you on that. We kind of hear about these things when it's all approved, and my bosses in Yapang tell me this is what you're getting and this is what we're doing. This is the plan. So as of now, no, I haven't heard anything on that.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jane Irving. I'm with the Greenland Civic Association with Dick. Just a couple of things. Two of the Chinese restaurants in Greenlawn on Broadway were vandalized / broken into over the weekend. I don't know if you have any more information on that.
I didn't see any burglary reports on it. That's
okay.
why.
Both of their windows.
Yeah, if the windows were damaged, yeah, I probably wouldn't see that if they actually entered and property was.
I thought I heard that one of them was broken into.
The Green Jade is a criminal restaurant. Okay, broken window.
And then there's Green Garden that was also up by Mid-Village.
Yeah. Anybody else? June?
I have a question for Joe. Do you know anything about the Armed Park Rangers? How's that been going?
As far as how many we have?
Well, yeah, just an update.
Program's going well. We just hired 4 more. They should be starting any day now. Again, they're patrolling just town properties.
Have you had incidents? Have they been involved in any, enforcement things, or?
The most recent thing that we had is we had an individual stealing turtles out of Heckscher Park. And we had
Live turtles?
a specific breed of turtle. Resident emailed us, they observed the activity. One of the rangers actually went and hid in the parking lot across the street at the gas station, and they watched the people pull up. They had a lookout. The gentleman went into the park and stole a radiated slider, and we pulled them over at the park and called them DEC. And it turns out they're from Center Reach, and there is some kind of program where these people send turtles back to China. They couldn't confirm if these people were involved in anything like that.
Wow.
What do they eat?
That was the most recent thing that we just had.
Are they eating?
That we don't
It's
know.
an aphrodisiac for men.
They don't need it in China.
So these people like Asian?
No, actually no. Damn. We don't know. We don't. Some people sell them to local stores, pet stores, but with this particular one, that's all we have. DEC didn't fill us on. They were following up with a further investigation.
And our Inspector Hatton, do you have, some interaction with the Rangers?
Actually, I get an email every week from Mary Davis. She tells me what shifts they're working, because they're not out there 24/7. But I did notice definitely this summer, when they first started the program, they only had 3 or 4 guys working, and they worked Thursday, Friday, Saturday night type thing. And now they're almost out there every day, right, Joe?
Yep.
They've definitely increased it, so there's at least one park ranger on duty almost every night. At least it was for the summer. I don't know what the plans are.
Currently still. And also we had this where one of our park ranger guys caught someone breaking into our armory.
Right.
And second precinct was called, and they press charges and they made the arrest for us.
If they catch things in progress, they'll call us down and there'll be a witness and we'll process the arrest.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Worth the money, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, folks, let me just, I think I mentioned it at the beginning, but next meeting is Tuesday, October 3rd, 7 o'clock, South Huntington Library. And Coffee with a Cop the next day on the 4th at the mall, 11 to 1.
And we have the Unity
Unity
Day
Parade, yes, Unity Parade. D. Thompson's here. Union Parade is, kicks off at 10.
Correct.
And it's gonna be going down Oakwood Road this year, big change. Not on New York Avenue, so it's gonna be start at Huntington High School and end at Stimson Middle School. So we'll be there.
And we hope the commissioner and you are marching.
And it starts at 10? Dee, it starts at 10?
The gathering at 10 takes over.
Okay.
Okay.
And then there's the festival afterwards.
Yeah?
We also have the Hispanic Heritage Celebration, September 15th at Jack Avery.
Right. Excellent, excellent, excellent event.
All right, folks, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.